Welcome to Prism of Torah with Rebbe Saf Aaron Prisman, engaging Divrei Torah, packed with stories and practical insights. Find us wherever you get your podcasts or at prismoftorah.org.
Shalom Uvracha. This week's Dvar Torah, I would like to somehow connect the important days that we're at right now before Rosh Hashanah in Elul and the Parsha. So we're going to bring three different questions that seemingly have nothing to do with each other, but perhaps on a certain level the answer will connect all the three. Question number one, in this Parsha we know that we have a list of curses and a list of blessings, that if Bnei Israel do the mitzvos, they get lots of blessings. If Chas v'Shalom, they don't do the mitzvos and they do the averas, they get curses. However, the extreme question that everyone asks is the following. There is an item out there that says, you know what, you're going to get all these curses because, and the simple understanding of the pasuk is, Tachat asher lo avadeta et Hashem betzimcha v'tuv levav. Because you didn't do the mitzvah, that's where you're going to get cursed by all these extreme curses. And the question screams out, but what do you mean? I did the mitzvahs. Okay, so I didn't do them mitoch simcha, with happiness. That is why it's well-deserving to get all these extreme curses? And we've mentioned several answers to that question. One of them was, because when you don't do it in a happy way, that means that you're missing out and you don't understand the huge chesed Hashem did with us in this world. You should have been very happy doing the mitzvahs. But we're not getting into that answer. We're going to leave it as a question and raise a different mahalach of an answer for this question. Question number two, very fitting for Elul. We know that every day in Elul we say, Dovid Hashem ori v'ishi mimira, etc. The Ashkenazim say it in Shachris and Ma'ariv. And the question over there is, it says, there's also a redundancy. It says, Achas sha'alti meis Hashem. I'm just truly inquiring. I'm asking one thing from Hashem. Achas sha'alti meis Hashem. And then it says, Oisa avakesh. And that is what I'm really asking for. Sha'alti and avakesh seems to be the same thing. It almost seems like to be a synonym. And the Rishonim do ask this question. What's the difference between Sheilah, requesting for something, and Bakasha? And perhaps Bakasha, some Rishonim do say this. Bakasha is a more extreme way of asking something, but it still seems to be redundant. Which one is it? He's asking or what? Achas sha'alti meis Hashem. I'm only asking Hashem for one thing. Ois avakesh, and that is the thing I'm requesting. It sounds like there's a duplicate lashon over here. And what is that he's asking? Shivti b'beis Hashem kol yemei chai. I just want to sit in the Beis Hashem and Hashem's dwelling, etc., etc. So the question begs itself: what is this redundancy? And perhaps to answer this question, we have to understand the demarcation and the definition. What's the difference between a Sheilah and a Bakasha? And the third question is not a kasha, but it's an interesting Sheilah. And that is, we know that Rosh Hashanah is a very vital day. In fact, this is the day that it's going to be decreed what is going to happen the whole year to a certain degree. And hence, we want to be on our best behavior on Rosh Hashanah, be close to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. That's what we all know. The Bali Musar say how important it is not to be angry on Rosh Hashanah, because Ba'asher Usham, based on how you are acting that day, how you feel in your heart that day, that is really primarily how you are going to be judged. And hence, it's also a huge segula to decide on what's going to happen during the year. This day, any Bakashas you say can have a major effect when you request Hashem for things. On the other hand, how can we ask for something when there's a clear Zohar that everyone quotes that says it's not matim? This is Yom Adin, the day of judgment, and you're going to request for personal requests. Please give me parnasa, I want to have a year of financial, no stress, that the kids, everything you ask for, the Zohar says it's not matim. You can't ask for things on this day. You could, and it'll work perhaps, but it's not matim. It's not fitting to do such a thing. It's like a dog, have, all you care about yourself, give. So the question I want to ask is, but at the end of the day, it's such an opportunity. Hashem doesn't want us to seize the opportunity. What are we supposed to do, and what's the game plan? So we'll start with the first question that we raised, and that is, the Saba Mikelim we asked, how can it be that we get all these curses only because we did the mitzvahs, we didn't sin, we refrained from sinning, but we didn't do it in a happily fashion. We weren't happy about it. So the Saba Mikelim says it must be that, of course, maybe initially we did the mitzvahs, but eventually, of course, we stopped doing the mitzvahs and we did the do averas. However, says the Saba Mikelim, when the Torah says that the reason you're going to get punished with all these extreme curses, and it is, of course, well-deserving to get these curses, because HaKadosh Baruch Hu is Dan Din Emes. He's never going to give you something you don't deserve. So how does it logically make sense that we deserve to get all these curses just because we didn't be Oved Hashem besimcha? The answer is that the Torah is now teaching you something. It's telling you. It could be that, of course, at the beginning you did the mitzvahs as you were starting your way in life. However, because at the beginning you did not perform the mitzvahs with a happy heart, at the end of the day, you're going to stop doing the mitzvahs. And indeed, that is what happened. So to answer the question, of course, you're getting punished because you stopped doing the mitzvahs. And you did do Averas. However, the Torah wants to teach you a lesson. Because as we know, the Torah is the tree of life and it's giving us practical advice on how to live our life. Says the Sava Mikelm, the Torah over here is hinting to us and teaching us a lesson. If you want to continue doing the mitzvahs, if you want your kids to continue doing the mitzvahs, if you want your Talmidim to continue doing the mitzvahs, even when you're not around to push and to ensure they're doing the mitzvahs, make sure they're happy when they do it. Make sure they understand the meaning of what they're doing, which will make them happy and realize they're doing something big. And hence, when the Torah says, Tachat asher lo avadet et Hashem b'simcha, that really means this is the root cause for why they stopped doing the mitzvahs and started doing Averas. But of course they stopped doing the mitzvahs, or else it's not fitting for them to get all these curses. But the Torah is teaching us, why is it that they get all these curses? And why is it that they stopped doing the mitzvahs, which is why they're getting these curses? It's all because back in the roots, back in the day when they started to do the mitzvahs, they weren't doing it with a happy heart. Perhaps there was a lack of understanding what life is all about. Because when you have meaning in your actions, and of course you're happy to do your actions. I'll never forget, I saw a person from Achim, which is like the similar to the discovery program that they have in the States and in Canada, where a person spoke and it was very mind-boggling. He showed a presentation where two families lost a very close one. And one family, you saw they were in major, major pain, which is normal. But the other one, you see that the pain they had pain, of course, but their pain was not the same as the other family. And he explained, I want to suggest an answer why. One family, their close passed away from a disease. On the other hand, the other family, their son passed away in the army fighting to protect other Jews. And indeed, he died in the midst of a heroic act, saving 5 people. So he says, I want to suggest that the difference is, the person that passed away by saving people, then that family understood, wow, there's a major purpose to his action. And by him being taken away by Kadosh Baruch Hu and dying, but that was something, there was purpose to what he did. So they can live with that. However, the other family, he just passed away just because of a disease. That was hard for them to understand. What's the meaning of that? Now, of course, a person that's Mamin Bakadosh Baruch Hu, he realizes everything is part of the plan. And everything had to happen, and it's the best that it happened that way. And we do not always understand why it's the best. And we will in Mitzvah Hashem Ne'olam Haba. Right now, we don't. I'll call upon you. The reason I'm bringing this idea is just so we understand as a mashal, that when a person understands why he's doing what he's doing, that means he has meaning in life, and that means he's happy to do what he's doing. And the person that does mitzvahs and realizes that every mitzvah he does, it's like $1 million and more, because that is nurturing his soul. It's giving fuel for his soul to live to eternity in the world to come. Then he's happy to do the mitzvahs, and therefore he'll always continue doing them. That is the lesson the Torah, says the Saba Mikelem. Meaning, the root cause for a person to stop doing mitzvahs is if he doesn't do it with a happy heart. If he's not happy, besimcha, he's not continue doing it. And we know that's true about everything in life. He's doing something besimcha, which is a ripple effect from the fact that he understands why it is worth it for him to be doing it. Being Jewish is not always easy, but it's worth to be Jewish because you understand what you're getting out of it. I personally think it's also geschmack to be Jewish, but I think it's correlated one-to-one. I'll call upon him. I'll never forget one of my Rebbeim told me that one of the biggest revelations that will be in the world to come is the fact that every little action that you do, you have no idea what waves and ripple effect it has on the whole world, on creation. And if we would have understood that, or someone would have conveyed that message to us when we were younger and made it reality, which it is reality, just it's a reality we don't see, that would have been a game changer. Now, based on this idea that we always have to understand what the root cause of something and what the ripple effect of it is, then perhaps we can use that master key of an understanding to go and answer a different question that seems to be unrelated and is unrelated, but it's very relevant to us in these days. What is this Tehillim that we say every day, Dovid HaMelech ori v'yishimimira, etc.? Achas she'alti me'eis Hashem v'savagesh. We asked, what do you mean? What is this duplicate lashon? I asked one thing, and that is what I'm requesting. It seems like the same thing. Can't be redundancy over here. We know that. So the Malbim says, First, let me explain to you something. The demarcation, the definition of a Sheilah, is really I'm requesting something, but it's only a means. It's not really the end game. It's not the end. It's not the goal. I'm asking for money, not because all I want in life is money, because I want the money to be used for something. For example, excuse the pun, I want to use the money to publish a book. So the money is a means and the book is the goal. So a Sheilah is the means, is a request to get a means to do the goal, which is the Bakasha. And that's how the Malbim explains and answers the question we raised. Dovid HaMelech is telling HaKadosh Baruch Hu, I want to tell you something. All I want is one thing in life. It could be that in the past you saw me asking many questions, but they're all like one question. Why is that? Because they're all only a means. And this time when I'm asking you that I want to sit b'Beis Hashem, all I want to do is learn Torah and be in the dwelling house of HaKadosh Baruch Hu and be close to Hashem. That's also my Sheilah and it's also my Bakasha. It's all one. What I'm requesting to sit in Beis Hashem, even though I know it can have ripple effects and it's a skula to get parents to be taken care of, not to be sick, that is not the reason I'm asking. Because the true reason in my heart, as the Malbim tells us, mevak leiv, a person that the Bakasha comes from the leiv. That's the real end game and the goal. The Bakasha is shivti Beis Hashem. And that's also what I'm asking you. So actually it happens to be that in this occurrence, all I'm asking is for one thing. Achas shalti Beis Hashem. I'm only asking for one thing, which usually means this request, the Sheilah request, is a means. But over here, it's also the end. Shivti Beis Hashem, Oisa Vakesh. This is what I'm really dwelling in my heart. This is what I want. This is what I'm begging you, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. All I want to be is close to Hashem. That is the name of the game. That's what I want. That's the end state. That's the goal. And that's why it's one. Meaning, a lot of times people ask for all kinds of things. But really, the root, the goal of what they're asking for is Shivti Beis Hashem. And hence the parallel I thought was cute was that just like in the Parsha, it's telling you the root cause why a person is going to stop doing mitzvahs. And of course, he's getting punished for not doing mitzvahs and doing averas. So too over here, the root of what Dovid HaMelech wanted happened to coincide with also what he's requesting, which is Shivti Beveis Hashem Kol Mechayai. How much fitting is this that we recalibrate during this time and realize what life is all about, and all that we want, really, and even if we request different things, is Shivti Beveis Hashem Kol Mechayai, because that is why we are put in this world, to connect HaKadosh Baruch Hu. With that, we can have an amazing mahalach on what we think about during Elul and specifically on Rosh Hashanah. We asked, it's a bit weird that on the one hand, we can't ask for personal requests because the Zohar says it's not a good thing. It's like a dog, hav. On the other hand, we know that it's a big skula to ask for things because this is the day Hashem's listening. Hashem's close to us. And I think the obvious answer to this question is, if we explain to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, which pretty much means if in our hearts the truth is that all these requests, be it for money, be it for health, be it for a house that is big enough for our family, it doesn't matter what it is. If deeply in our hearts we ask, these are not the goal. It's just the Sheilah. But the Bakasha is to connect to HaKadosh Baruch Hu and to ensure we bring up a family in the ways of Hashem. Then it makes a lot of sense that the Zohar is not talking about that. That's not hav. Because your Bakasha is one. Shivti Beveis Hashem Kol Yemei Chayai. I want to just end off with this idea. A lot of people get to Elul, and perhaps this is the way in previous generations that were on a very high level. There was the Iras Hashem. They came to Elul and they were trembling. But there is an idea that Elul, HaKadosh Baruch Hu is giving an opportunity to us to get close to Hashem me'ahava. As is hinted in the words of Elul, the word Elul, the acronym is Rashi Tevis, Ani ledodi vedodi li. I feel close to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. He's like an uncle to me. That's a special love relationship. And only then we go to Yom Adin, as HaKadosh Baruch Hu is giving us an opportunity to get close to Him before we go to judgment. Where do we see a similar thing? Every day we see a similar thing. Shachris and in Ma'ariv. Before we're Mekabel Omachut Shamayim and come to the acknowledgement that HaKadosh Baruch Hu runs the world, Shema Yisrael, as we say, Hashem Elokeinu, Hashem Echad, Baruch Shem, Kvod Machusod Lo'elam Va'ed. Before that, we see Ahava. Either whatever the nusach is, Sfardim and Ashkenazim, Ahavas Oilam, Ahava Rabba. At the end of the day, there is first Ahava, just like we have now in Elul, and then comes Yom Adin. Then comes the aspect of Adin. Let us take this opportunity of these days. The bad news is that 2 weeks almost have passed already in Elul, which is the time to get close to Hashem. The good news is that we have still another 2 weeks. We have to seize the moment and realize that now is a chance for us to realize what life is all about, connect HaKadosh Baruch Hu, realize that everything is one Bakasha, Shivti Beveis Hashem, Kol Yemei Chayai. Have a good job.
This concludes another episode of The Prism of Torah. Thank you for tuning in today. We hope you enjoyed it and learned something valuable. If you did, please subscribe to the podcast and give a 5-star rating. You can also find this podcast wherever you get your podcasts or our own website, prismoftorah.com, where we have a full archive of all our past episodes. We would like to thank Yona Vefa for the recording equipment and Eli Podcast Productions for handling all our post-podcast productions. Join us next week for another enlightening conversation on the Prism of Torah.